What's going on, guys? So you recently switched to a vegan diet and you feel like you just can't build muscle. Well, today I want to share with you 3 reasons I believe may explain why you're not building muscle and what you can do to avoid them and start making your own vegan gains. So the first reason people can't build muscle is they're simply not eating enough. To build muscle to the very best of your ability, you really do need to be in a calorie surplus. What's a calorie surplus? Well, it means that at the end of the day, you're consuming more calories than you're expending. And having this excess energy is what the body uses to build muscle. And if you're not providing it with what it needs, then it's no wonder you're not making any gains. So firstly, ensure that you're consuming adequate calories and you're putting yourself in a calorie surplus. A little caveat here though is to make sure that your surplus isn't too excessive. There's nothing worse than getting super fat and having to diet it off later. Keeping fat gain to a minimum during a surplus phase isn't difficult. All you have to do is make sure that your surplus isn't too large. I wouldn't recommend consuming more than 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance calories, and as we mentioned in the past, your maintenance calories are simply the amount of calories required for you to maintain a given weight. To exemplify this point, I want you to imagine that your ideal physique is a house and you're slowly building it from the ground up. To build the house, you need a certain amount of raw materials, and workers are then able to use those materials to build the house. And what you can do is slowly increase the amount of raw materials you provide those workers, and the house can be built quicker because they've got more stuff to build the house with. However, we can't keep providing more raw materials in the hope that the house will be built faster, because it will get to a point where the workers are maxed out and they've reached their building capacity, so they simply can't build any faster no matter how many more raw materials we give them. If you provide your body with too many calories, you will gain a lot of body fat, and unfortunately I've learnt this the hard way. As you can see from the picture, I have gained a lot of body fat in the past, but if you manipulate your diet in the correct way, you can get some great results. The second reason people can't build muscle on a vegan diet is because they simply don't consume enough protein. Like it or not, muscle tissue is made from amino acids, aka protein. For sure, some people don't have to consume as much protein as others. Everyone has a different capacity to build muscle based on their genetics, so whilst some people may be able to consume less protein than you, they may be able to build just as much muscle. Unfortunately, you've got to work with what you've got and make sure that your protein intake is adequate for you to build muscle. Examples of high protein vegan foods include beans, lentils, quinoa, tofu, chickpeas, peas, broccoli, spinach, the list goes on. If you do want to check out one of my full day of eatings, you can do, and those will show you some great meal ideas, and I break down every single calorie and every single macro for you as well. And the final reason you may not be building muscle applies to whether you're a vegan, a vegetarian, or a meat eater. If your training isn't adequate, you're simply not going to be building muscle, full stop. If you don't train correctly, then you're not going to be giving your body enough of a reason to grow. Now, what do I mean by training correctly? Well, one fundamental principle you have to be adhering to is the principle of progressive overload. I've mentioned this before, but essentially what it means is gradually increasing the intensity of the stimulus that you give to your muscles over time, with intensity being defined as weight lifted as a percent of your 1 rep max. In simple terms, what that means is if you're squatting, say 100 kilos now for 5 reps, hopefully a year down the line you'll be squatting at least 120 kilos, for example. The numbers are really irrelevant, but what matters is that you're gradually increasing the intensity of the stimulus, and that is essentially what progressive overload is. The mistake that a lot of people make is they're lifting the same weight for the same number of reps day in, day out, and they're wondering why they're not making gains. Well, here's the thing, your body's only going to adapt to the extent it is required to do so. So if you're squatting 100 kilos for 5 reps, your body's going to adapt to the extent that it can squat 100 kilos for 5 reps. Now what you need to do is gradually increase the intensity of the stimulus that you give to your muscles, so squat say 105 kilos for 5 reps, and what that's going to do is essentially tell your body to build more muscle because it's got to adapt to accommodate for the increased intensity of the stimulus. I've said that a few times now. If you'd like to see more on how I train, you can check out the video in the top right hand corner, but in summary, firstly, make sure you're consuming enough calories and try to put your body in a small calorie surplus. Secondly, make sure you're consuming enough protein so you've got the building blocks to build muscle. And finally, train according to the principle of progressive overload so you're constantly giving your body a reason to adapt and grow bigger and stronger. That is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.